Good morning. How is everybody this morning? So I'm like the talking head this morning. I'm missing my friend, Michael. He's going to be coming on, I think. I think he's going to be, but he said, "Hey, I'm going to be a little late." I'm like, okay. So I'll just like pedal the bike until he hops on. I mean, good morning. We have such a big show today. It's been fascinating to me, and I'll talk more about it with Kendall when she gets on here in a minute. But it's been fascinating to me. Kendall made an absolutely fantastic video. I mean, she just does a great job communicating with her Senate district. I mean, she does a great job. Good morning, Robert. She does a great job communicating with her Senate district, and she put out a video, I don't know, a week ago. She'll probably have to check me on this. And it was about the topic that we're going to, good morning, Lisa, the topic that we're going to undertake on this morning, and that is our data. In Oklahoma, we have an opt-out from Real ID, and it's in law. And it was very fascinating to me when she said, well, you know, that opt-out may not work here. And so I made a little video myself from the video that she made. And I posted it to our TikTok account. Yes, we have a TikTok account. You know, you got to spread the word wherever you can. Do you see what I'm saying? Anyway, so yes, we have a TikTok account. And I posted it to the TikTok account, and the video went, I don't know, 15,000 views or something. We had something like 550 comments to it. It's like, I can't keep up with all the comments, 550 comments. But here's what gets me. So many people in the comment section, I mean, a lot of them were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. This is so, you know, scary and frustrating, blah, blah, blah. So many of them were, you're lying. Well, if you're not doing anything wrong, what does it matter if they have your data? Well, everybody else has your data. Why do you really care if this happens? I get a little tongue-tied when I come up against those particular arguments and people who say things like this, because, you know, if something's wrong and something's bad or something is not working properly, you don't just double down and go, well, let's keep doing it because we've already done it. I mean, I guess I don't see the capacity for understanding that thought process. I mean, it doesn't work for me, because then how do you even have the chance? And then there were so many cynics, you know, in the 580,000 comments that were like, well, what are you going to do? Put the genie back in the bottle? I mean, there are just so many people who feel like they have these great, you know, one-liners that's going to, I don't know, I don't know what they think about uttering these little one-liners, but that has never been my perspective on anything. I mean, not just government, but anything. So if it's not right, or it's not working, or there's something wrong with it, and we're just going to go, well, but it happens. I mean, okay, well, other people do it anyway. Then doesn't that just, I mean, isn't that the snowball picking up steam as it rolls down the hill? Wouldn't you at some point want to put up some kind of barrier for that snowball and at least stop it where it was? So I have to say, it completely mind boggles me, tongue ties me, makes my brain stop functioning when I hear people say this stuff, because it just simply doesn't make any sense to me. So Well, we're waiting on Michael will pop in at some point, but I'm going to bring on Kendall here because Kendall has all the information about this. And I've got so many questions and I'm so excited that she's on. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her in here this morning. Good morning, Senator Sacchieri.
Hello. Good morning.
So I'm just curious, you heard what I was saying. I mean, are you with me or am I just out blowing in the wind here by myself?
No, I agree with you. You hear that everywhere. Or if you go to TSA and you say, no, thanks, I don't want my face scanned. They're like, well, your face was scanned 10 times as you walk down the terminal to your, and I was like, okay, great. You don't need my photo then. Like it is frustrating to say, well, why do you need it one more time then? I think there is still a lot to be obtained and they're just trying to get you every way they can. And even if I don't stop this upload now, if I can pass law later, that doesn't protect me, but it will protect my kids. At least my kids can opt out.
Okay, well, so let's stop that there.
You know?
So if you have children, are you really that? Do you really want to just let your kids inherit a world that was worse than you had it because it was going to be worse anyway?
No. So you got to think that way. Even if it doesn't stop it for me, you can possibly stop it for your kids.
And I don't know. I guess that's the one thing that I mean, I think I've loved this about you since I first met you, since we were introduced. And I thought, oh my goodness, I think she's a kindred spirit here. I do love the fact that you see down, you don't stop seeing here. You see down the road and you see down the road for your kids and my kids and everybody else's kids. And I love that about you because once we lose the ability to realize that this world isn't about us, and we are actually, I mean, certainly if you're a Christian, you believe you're here to make the world a better place than it was. So how do you just go, well, I can't do anything about it? Or it's just not in my nature to do that thing. I can't do that thing. And I love that about you because I see the same thing in you. You just don't have that ability to go, well, okay.
I know. You can't leave well enough alone, I guess.
Well, and I have to say this about you too. We've got a whole bunch of comments flooding in here because people are really worried about this. But I want to make this point early on, even though there aren't enough people on that I want to hear me say this. You did kind of the David and Goliath thing here. I mean, you haven't been in the Senate for 3 terms or 4 terms or 70 terms. I mean, you're fairly new coming in here. You just walked right up to Service, Oklahoma. You just said, hey, this has got to get taken care of. I mean, that's another thing I love about you. I mean, you just didn't even stop to, it was like, well, this is wrong and let's fix this. So let me start at the beginning. I do want to go back a little bit. How did you even come to find any of this out?
Well, that's because, well, you remember last May, the DHS Secretary Noem announced, we're going full blown real ID, and then that passed, and they're still not fully, they just can't get people fear mongered into it. But I'd kind of forgotten about real ID for a while, and I didn't file any legislation on it until she announced that. So we tried to get something heard, just like a resolution to affirm we do have an opt out, but that didn't get heard. So I was a little frustrated then.
Wait,
so
stop. People have to really focus on that. Say that one more time because I want people to focus on that.
That I filed a Senate resolution. So it's not a bill. It's not law. It's just a statement of fact that we offer this in our statutes, but it's not being treated as such. So we're reaffirming that we really do have an opt-out that is different from a real ID. And I could not get that heard. So then I got very frustrated. We decided that, okay, next move is going to be, we're going to prove it. Really the fight on that, getting that resolution heard was just.
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
I accidentally hit a button and knocked you off. I'm so sorry.
And done.
And scene.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay,
That's
so
okay.
Go ahead.
It just wasn't believed that there was there was no need for this. We already offer this Kindle, so we're not going to waste our time on this. So whatever. I was like, we're going to do a interim study in the fall. We're going to get Service Oklahoma in here. We're going to get the pros on the other side of the argument in here. We're going to ask these hard questions. That was denied. They didn't. Once we started asking what kind of questions we wanted to ask, the chairman was like, yeah, we're not going to do that. So I was like, well, then my next step is just to start sending questions directly to my DMVs, which kind of is DPS and Service Oklahoma. It's kind of confusing. So we sent all those questions out to both, and Service Oklahoma ended up being the one that had most of I want to say their answers the first time, but we had to ask a couple times on some stuff. So it was definitely, I don't know how you describe the answers. It was just very political answers, and we weren't really getting the answers. So we had to reword our questioning. We did that back and forth several times. And then I finally said, you know what, Service Oklahoma, I think it'd be best if you just came to my office and we're going to hash this out. And they did. They were great. They came, and that was when we finally got to the bottom of most of our biggest questions were, what is an opt-out? We did find out about the upload whenever we started asking questions, because otherwise it was not publicized anywhere. Nobody knew that this was coming. So yeah, that was how we got to that point of red alert, because we found out it was February and we were asking these questions in November.
I know many of the people who are on this morning, they're regular viewers and very loyal. And I know that they are as angry as me about what you've just said. But I do want to make this, because this has been a question that I have also received when I've tried to go out and David this. Can you explain where Service Oklahoma even came from? Because don't forget, prior to Service Oklahoma, if you wanted a driver's license, if you needed to get your tag changed, if you had all these things going on, you did that at your local DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles location, right? So and all of that was taken care of among the DMVs, right? It was just a circular database, that all of the DMVs, put their information into. Where in the heck did this Service Oklahoma thing come from anyway?
I believe it was created right when Governor Stitt took office, somewhere in that time frame. I have not heard of
Oh my goodness.
thing.
It was a Governor Stitt thing?
I don't know if it was his thing. It was just around that time. Okay.
It was.
I don't know the whole history on it. We are starting to look at, what is it based on? Where did we get these ideas from of centralizing it? And what we found was that it was based off of something called Service Alberta. So something out of Canada. And I don't know if any other state is really implementing the way we are, centralizing everything in one hub as far as
But it makes it so convenient. I mean, Kendall, when you have everything in one place, it's just convenience.
For now, maybe. I don't know. It'll all be government ran though. I hear from my local tag agencies a lot, and just how they're being squeezed, and I hate it for them. And
tell us about that, because I'm curious.
I don't know enough. Maybe that's for another time, or talk to some tag agencies, but they've called me and they're like, you need to do something. And I'm like, I don't know how we do this. But I just feel bad for them, because these are the people who know you. Isn't that who you want to be issuing your ID? You don't want some random government person being like, oh yeah, you look legit, I'll just go ahead and give you an ID. It's the same thing like with banking. You want a hometown local bank that knows you. You want, and we're losing that in so many industries, because we're going full government can do it better and more efficient and on the taxpayer dime. And so that's just my 2 cents.
That's why I think why I hate the word convenience. We talk about convenience and often efficiency in the same sound bite. And the problem is, our lives weren't meant to be convenient. I don't even care if you're Christian or not. Your life was not meant to be convenient. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm just hating to break that to you, but it's not. And our government shouldn't be run on convenience. Now, I would take that up in a different direction on efficacy. I mean, it needs to be extremely effective. But for what we do. But this idea and notion of convenience, it's really what created OHMS in the first place. And I have never liked OHMS ever, ever. And I thought it was just an absolutely horrible idea. Let's put all data together everywhere in one place. Wow. Nothing could go wrong there. And I won't go down that road.
And so that might be for another person that's has dug, because I know some that are digging into OMES pretty hard too, and there's a lot that needs to be fixed. But I have not fought that battle, so I'm not going there today.
So when you had Service Oklahoma come into the office, give me kind of the rundown of what they told you that made alarm bells kind of go off in your head, and you're like, oh, we're not in the right place here.
It was really the question of opting out. I mean, we went in circles on that via email. So I really just wanted them to come in so we could nail down, are you offering a real opt-out? This is statutory. And so I finally point blank said, what is your definition of an opt-out? Because it's very gray, it's very vague in statute. It basically just says we will offer an opt-out because of the Real ID Act, but it doesn't really describe what opting out will look like. That's why I'm running a bill now to solidify it. But it's like any common sense person would know, opt-out means you're not going to be participating in the same protocol as whatever Real ID Act is going to be bringing down from the federal government. But their answer to me was that there is no difference. There really is no difference. And I have their transcription. I recorded it. I probably should have brought it with me. In summary, they basically said the only difference is when you go and apply at the DMV. That is what an opt-out is. It's different. It's different documentation when you go to get your Real ID or get your non-compliant. That is what opting out is.
So if you don't get the little star and you don't do the extra paperwork, then you're essentially opted out.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm opted out. However, part of the reason why you're on this program is because you scared me pretty good, because basically it doesn't matter if I don't have a little star on my driver's license or not. Apparently, all of my data is going to be going to an organization that is a private organization outside of the bounds of any of our elected representation. Is that correct?
Correct. And
explain.
Well, Service Oklahoma is going to say, well, this is a state-led system.
Let's go back. Now I'm going to take you back just 1 minute. So when I started in 2010 and then really started drilling down into Common Core on 2012, you know what they said? Well, Jenny, this isn't a federal initiative. It's state-led.
There you go.
They have used this terminology for over a decade to make it seem that somehow our state was doing it, when you know for a fact that's absolutely not the case. And you have 100 NGOs out there, and you have 100 organizations like the one that our governor is president or chairman of right now, the National Governors Association, that has all these great ideas that they're willing to share with the state, so the states can do it on their own and say it's state-led.
It's easy to say. And most people will take that off the surface and be like, okay, good. It's anything but state-led. We're leading the way in giving them our data. We are going to do that. But then after that, it is not state-led. We understand that AMVA functions on regions.
Okay, well, now let's stop. What is AMVA? And so when they sat in your office, they told you that they were going to take the driver's license data that they currently had available, all of it, whether it has a star on it or not, and they were going to give it to an organization called AMVA. Explain what AMVA is.
AMVA is American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators. They have been around for a long time. They oversee several databases and things in this realm. But the most important thing that people need to know is that I view them as an arm of the government, but they are private. They are third party Sometimes you'll see them even if you go to their website, because you can go to their website. You got to see, if you want to see their documents and stuff, you got to be a member of AMVA though. So you can't see everything, but they've even referred to themselves as like a trade organization. But they are anything but state led. They are not state led. They have people that sit on their boards, their regional committees. That too makes decisions. We're part of a region where we have like 16 states in our region. And as far as we know, and Service Oklahoma has confirmed this with me, we have no one sitting on these boards currently from the state of Oklahoma. So we have zero representation. But even if we did, I'm sorry, I didn't know Texas was Oklahoma or Puerto Rico. I'm pretty sure we're in the same region as Puerto Rico. It's like, this is anything but.
I have to put this one comment in because it actually mirrors what you were just saying. Look at what Dana wrote. Well, they have to sell it as state-led because it has a better ring than government overreach.
It's not even government. It's really not at this point. It's in the hands of.
That's probably one of the best ones I've seen in a while. That was
yeah.
Okay, so not even an Oklahoman sits on the board of AMVA.
Not
so. If anything were to happen, or we wanted to know where that data was going, or we wanted to know how they were parsing the data, or anything else, organizing the data, there's just no way to find out. They can give us a rude hand gesture and we move on, right?
Yeah, we don't know how you would obtain to know. Like, they will not be subject to FOIAs or open records. They do not answer to elected officials. So, Service Oklahoma is assuring us that this is very limited in scope. And you can say, yeah, maybe currently, but how would you know any different if they decided to branch out to obtaining further data or your photograph? You won't know, is the thing.
But isn't that the case in the beginning? I mean, they can tell us that it's very limited, but if we can't see the data, if we have no way of acknowledging that, then that's really kind of an empty suit promise, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all of this right now is so hard to fight. It is just plausible deniability at this point. It is an opinion of Service Oklahoma versus an opinion of all of those out there with tinfoil hats on saying, we see this being abused someday, and they're over here telling us that will never happen. And if it does happen, we will stop doing it. I did ask Service Oklahoma point blank, what happens when they ask for my photograph? Because they're assuring me right now, no photographs are being implemented. That will come. That is coming from AMVA. You can go to their website. They are prepping and preparing their systems for biometrics. I have screenshots of all of it. You can go there today and you'll see that their digital identity is going to happen at some point for them.
But Kendall, I mean, calm down. They said they weren't going to. So, I mean,
and even if you want to not even argue all that, throw all the tinfoil hat stuff out the window, throw it all out the window. I have an opt out, and it's in the law that I have an opt out, and you're breaking the law.
So did they
give you to stay in my home state?
Okay, so there are a couple of questions I want to ask before we go on. And here's a good one, because I think this is a relevant question. Denise asks, can you sue Service Oklahoma for breaking the law? Because basically, if they're going to put it all in this database and we don't have an opt-out anymore, did they not break the law?
That is the question. That's an attorney general question at some point. I'm working to file an injunction since I don't think a halt is coming.
Okay.
Nothing is going to come from Governor Stitt. I don't think he wants to get in the middle of it. I mean, to be clear, this is every state. So it's hard to stand up when every other state is doing it.
Okay. And I'm not putting this on you, Kendall. I'm going to put this on me. This is my.
Yeah, don't get me in trouble.
I'm not going to get you in trouble. This is my editorial comment. The governor, believe it or not, isn't elected to bring jobs to the state or to give money to different businesses so that they can operate in the state. And then we don't have to have our kids leave from here after they go to college to find a job. None of that is his job. His job is the protection of the rights of the citizenry. That is his only job. This man has never had a clue about that. It just doesn't even faze him. It's not, so long as he can put his finger in the middle of everything and appoint everybody and take care of everything. He'll do it however he wants it. But the problem is that this administration, this governor, has never understood his job, which is to protect the rights, the individual rights, not group rights, individual rights of the people who live in Oklahoma. That's just the job of a governor, period. So, he just doesn't have the time or energy to be able to give to this because, hey, we really need to get businesses in here, and I need to funnel some more tax dollars towards some of the ones that, we can get. I mean, I get so angry that I feel like my blood pressure is just going to go wacko. That is his job. And it makes me extraordinarily angry that we've had people calling. You put out a great call to action on this. It was extraordinarily reasonable. You just said, hey, everybody, call Governor Stitt's office and ask him to stop the transfer of this data into AMVA until we could figure out how the opt-out worked. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah. I do want to be fair. I mean, I gave him a personal letter a couple months ago requesting this halt and referenced when he did this another time. He has done this before for medical records. He has stopped data upload. So I do want to give him credit for some things he has done. The answer I got back from their office really was, and this is fear mongering from Service Oklahoma, I would assume, that this will come off as looking like you're not for voter ID. And that is not what we're finding out now, that Real ID is not, you can't use it to verify citizenship.
No, you can't. It's been failing. Hundreds. They found that Chinese immigrants have been coming in and getting Real IDs and using that, and the Congress knows about it, and they just ho-hum.
Yes, they are very aware that and so we've seen testimony as early as a couple weeks ago that DHS agents telling the courts, you cannot use this for citizenship verification. So I tried to argue that point, and I get it. You toe out of line, you do maybe media will get a hold of it and make you look like you're not for voter ID or whatever, but that is not true. And I just wanted to clarify that Real ID does not do any of that. We're not verifying birth certificates when we issue Real IDs. I've had people come tell me, I didn't even know I had a Real ID. I just went in and they switched it on me. I mean, so it's all over the place. I have people tell me different scenarios of, I went through all the proper stuff to renew my license. I had a non-compliant, and then they just asked me at the end, do you want a Real ID? That is not how this was supposed to work. But yeah, I'll leave it there.
Okay. Well, on that AMVA topic, also, Jen, I want to just chime in real quick. Another issue
You're late. You can't. You forfeited your right.
Hello, ladies. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Another issue I have, Kendall, is it's a private organization with that centralized database. That is just an actual, hey, look at me target for any kind of big hackers, big people that want to get a huge database of an entire state or an entire, because they're not going to have state level type of security at a company like that. They're not going to have that, and that's just another point of access to me that we're going to get compromised.
Well, that's the point, is when you have, the only way this AMVA system will work is when all 50 states are on board. That's how this will work.
And isn't that Real ID?
Well, yes, it's an implementation. It is the last big step of the implementation of Real ID, but they're not going to come out and say that. And I think the government a long time ago figured out, because we have fought this for decades. The states have pushed back so hard. So you should be proud of your states for pushing back so hard on Real ID that they saw we are getting nowhere. What if we start going another route? We'll go third party. Our hands will be out of it. And then you can't call it Real ID. You can't call it this. It's all just for modernization. And my point again to the governor's office was, your argument of this is for voter ID security only works if all of these states will get on board. I can tell you right now, the ones that are issuing the bad licenses are not going to get on board. Illinois and California are not going to be part of this. Now, someday they will, probably when they pull enough funding and fearmonger them enough. But if the ones that are committing the fraud are not going to participate in the system, please tell me how this works when you run a license against it and it's not there. These people are not participating anyways. It's doing nothing but collecting and holding data. And all of these states that are on it, all it takes is the weakest state to be, like Michael said, hacked or data breached. And then we're all in that boat.
So I've got a couple other questions, but I did want to put this in because your colleague, Senator Prieto, said, I'm being told by tag agencies that the photos will be going with it, and that every transaction that happens at the tag agency will then have your photo and your license. Now, maybe the tag agency's got some bad information, but that's what I'm hearing from tag agencies.
I've heard this too. But I can't get an answer, direct answer. Service Oklahoma has said, no, photographs are not going right now. And so that's all I can comment, but he works at a tag agency. Dana does. So,
well, let me ask you this question before we go on, because this is where I'm stuck. I have been in a similar situation with you with government where they tell you one thing, but then they don't answer all your questions, but then they send you to somebody else and then they don't answer all. I mean, it's where it just becomes this kind of circular dog chasing the tail. Nobody gets to anything because everybody just keeps, putting you off on somebody else or saying that they don't know. How can elected officials get in the middle of that dog chasing the tail scenario and somehow make somebody answer?
We have to take our jobs seriously. And that's why I love Tom Gann. I love Representative Gann. He understands our job is to be holding these guys accountable. We should be holding hearings every year. We should be having them come in, and we don't. As you can tell, I tried to ask questions to Service Oklahoma, Congress style. I just wanted them to come in and have them, where we had everybody in the same room. So now it's not back and forth. And she said this and Service Oklahoma said that. Can't get that. So it is our leadership, I think, that has just never taken seriously but instead it's trust the agencies. They know what they're doing. That is what we get. And that's what most legislators, I think, feel is when they get a call from their constituent, a legitimate call of concern with a certain agency or a problem, the legislator reaches out then to the liaison of the agency and they give them some explanation. And then that legislator comes back and says, everything's fine. This is how it works. I'm sorry that this is what happened, but this is just the process and they know what they're doing.
So most people know I'm suing the state election board. And that's exactly what happened to me.
Because agencies are so hard to go against. It was scary. I'm not going to lie. It was very scary to start coming out on this stuff. I really debated on doing it or not, or just, trying to file a bill and save the next generation if I can. But I was like, this is not okay. And who made you boss kind of attitude was just like, you're not the boss. I'm the boss. And the executive branch is the boss and you work for them and they're not, doing much. So I'm going to hold you accountable here and get these questions.
And God bless you for having that attitude. I mean, my favorite.
It's not for that. It's not for that. But I thought people have over 50% of Oklahomans have non-compliance. I just felt like this is big enough where you're lying to 50% of the adults with a license who believe and take the hardships when they go to the TSA and get extras, whatever, because they don't want their data shared. They're taking all of this anyways, and they're getting nothing out of it. It was just very frustrating to hear those things.
Well, but again, I mean, I know we have other things to talk about, but I'm going to say it again. Thank you for being that person to stand up for us. I mean, really, honestly, thank you so much. And you would hope that that's why we hire elected official. That's why we vote for our representation to do what you have done, and are doing, which is to try to protect us and find out and drill down to the bottom of it and figure out how you can fix the problem. So again, you will just have kudos from me constantly.
Well, and just let me finish saying I've had lots of legislators reach out concerned and have heard from Service Oklahoma's side and is hearing my side and wants to help. So let me just be fair there. And then I want to just say, I don't blame Service Oklahoma. They're doing their job. That is their job. They're not a legislator. They're not in, their job is to do whatever their guidance tells them and best practice tells them. it is our job to be overseeing all of that and making sure we're doing what is in law. If DHS is telling them you need to implement ANVA as your new software, they're following guidance. So I can't really blame them either.
Where does the guidance come from, though, Kendall? That's the question I have too. Where does this? Because I understand that we have to have a certain amount of bureaucracy because you as an elected official can't oversee everything. I mean, holy cow, I only do a podcast where I have to tackle a number of different things and I can't keep things straight. So I do understand that. I'm not a moron. I get it. But where does the guidance for that bureaucracy come from?
Yeah.
In the first place? I mean, is there a short answer for that question?
It's supposed to be from us, right? I mean, basically they're an arm of us when we pass bills and laws and we don't want to do the work to write everything down in statute. We trust the bureaucracy, the agency, to implement, what we intended with our bills. And if you start letting them go unsupervised, and other industry or other, because they rely on vendors as well. They rely on they have associations and they start talking to other groups and going out every year and hearing different things. They just start taking influence from there and they're not getting anything from the legislator. So, I mean, that I'm really starting to change my opinion on just, of course, government should be limited, but I'm really getting into it is not even in the sense of spending the money or anything. It's because you cannot control so much. Even if it is for the good, it just doesn't stay good if you're not overseeing, and you cannot do that. So limited in scope, limited bureaucracy, the better. You have to have it, but at the same time, it's like that's where I'm kind of shifting towards. Is like because you just can't oversee it all.
Well, and I do want to ask you this. So Tom has the GAN plan. And Michael's internet went out. He's just now getting back on. He didn't mean to dump us. He just his internet went out. He's coming back on. There he is.
Hey.
So okay, I lost my train of thought.
The GAN plan.
Okay, the GAN plan. Thank you. Okay, so Tom Gann has a plan, and part of his plan is also oversight of these bureaucratic things like Service Oklahoma. I mean,
I love it. I just, as the more I get to know him and watch him, Gann for president. It's
look at what Denise said.
I don't know what that means.
She wants you to know where your cape and baton is. You're a superhero.
Oh yeah, I'm not. Tom Gann is the superhero. I'm not, but yeah, I just wish people would see that this is their role of government. Of course, it's to protect your constituents if bills need to be written to protect them. But bills, I'm just so sick of bills. Like I hated this bill writing cycle. Yeah. It just feels silly because it's like, I know so much more I could do if I just had the help of my leadership to hold this agency accountable or get this spending under control. Would fix a lot of this. And we don't need all that. It does get frustrating.
So before we finish, because that's a really great point. Michael and I have talked frequently about the legislator when I was fighting Common Core, that when I sat down in his office, he basically said, well, what do you think, we do around here? And I said, well, like according to the Constitution, you're supposed to be protecting my rights. And he goes, well, people send us up here to write bills. That's literally what he said. And so it's interesting that you say that, because they want us to believe this is all, all smoke and mirrors BS. They want us to believe that they're doing something for us, and that's by writing bills, right? But that's not what's helping us, because we just keep adding to these. Number one, number two, they don't have any teeth in them. So they're completely meaningless, but it sounds great when they go out and campaign for re-election. It's just a fact. So if that's the case, and you just said, but if leadership would just allow me to do like a congressional deal where I call these agencies in and say, now explain yourselves, people. What are you doing? Where is this money going? Why are you doing this? if you had that kind of ability to keep accountability over these agencies, would things change, do you think?
Yeah, I think between if you really scrutinize budgets and spending and appropriations, um, and then on the other side, you're annually going over their rules and what they're implementing, and that's a lot of work. That is an undertaking or an overtaking for sure. I asked for appropriation ledgers. I hope I got them all, but it's just stacks, and they're this big, and I'm with a microphone.
Magnifying glass.
Magnifying glass, and it is an undertaking. Why do I keep saying that? I don't know. It isn't. Is that right?
Yeah,
Anyways,
no,
an undertaking.
You're not
Okay.
saying you're an undertaker. You're saying you're undertaking a job.
Yeah, it is just so
We
much
get
for
it.
one or two, and there are so many individuals out there in the legislature that are trying to do that. But right now, well, I'm rambling at this point. But yes, I do believe that. I mean, even the bills that I have done or pursued or passed, it's mostly stemmed out of, well, this entity lost its way, and it had an influence outside of the government telling something else was better, and now I have to go in and make it law because they don't know any different. Like things with property tax or stuff like that, when I go into like the sinking funds and things like that, it's like they already have the ability to do this, but they're hearing from the wrong people. They're hearing from bond makers, and they're hearing from so they're always going to go that path. But now I got to write law to restrict them completely because this was the law to begin with, and they just stopped following it. You know what I mean?
Well, so it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that go along to get along mentality. They just get in there, and it's the easiest path to just do whatever they tell me to do. So that's where, and I hate that, Kendall, because I don't want to have to wear my seatbelt. I don't want to have insurance. I don't want to have a driver's license to drive a car. If I want to just go travel somewhere, I'm my own person. I'm not a commercial entity. I should just be able to do it. And that's the thing I hate is we just keep going along. We just keep giving everything away. It's a lot of it. I point to myself. I should be a lot louder. I shouldn't just accept it. And I try not to. But at the same time, the people that get in office that are supposed to be representing me, they just go along with whatever they say up there. They just do it regardless of what I say or do. I can't stand that.
And sometimes it's innocent some legislators don't know that area of topic. And so they're gonna refer to the agency as correct and doing the right thing. And maybe they are, but how do you know if you're not asking questions?
Well, and that's I do like this comment by Robert, so I'm going to stick it up here. But that's the game of the agencies. The legislature gave them power, and then they turn around and say, "Oh, I can't do anything about it."
Yeah,
and
I know.
I love that we have Tyler Durden on here. Fight Club, love Fight Club. Yeah, right to travel should be our ultimate right. I mean, our ultimate right as American citizens should be to go anywhere in the United States that we want to go without having to go to an airport and show. It's funny.
Yeah.
But I remember.
But that's right? That's the 14th. Is that the 14th Amendment? I'll have to look it up. Right, to travel through, to be able to go throughout states without any issue.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, and this wasn't even that far back in the day. This was the 80s. Yeah. I remember going to the airport. My grandparents would fly in. That was when they were alive, and they'd fly in every now and then. And we'd go. I still have pictures of us sitting at the airport all together, just waiting for them to get on the plane. And you bought your ticket, and they just checked your driver's license to make sure, you weren't somebody else getting on the plane. And you got on the plane, and everything was fine. And then this is my personal opinion. I'm keeping this to myself. I'm not including everybody else. This is my personal opinion. Then we had 9/11, and it became very easy to scare people into doing things that was somehow going to make them safer. And since 9/11, our government has been using the term safety to screw us over again and again and again, and follow us and track us and everything else. And I'm telling you, I totally believe that you give up safety for liberty, and you don't have either one of them. You're just simply not going to. You're going to have tyranny, and that's what you're going to have. But you're not going to have safety. You're not going to have liberty. You're not going to have any of that. And that's where we are today. And if people don't pull their heads out of their back ends and start saying, well, maybe I should pay attention to this. Maybe we do need to stop the snowball rolling down the hill. Maybe I shouldn't just shrug and say, well, everybody does it and move on. I mean, until we get there, it makes your job harder, I think, Kendall.
Yeah, most people do like increase safety and security, and then I'm like, well, heck, well, then we just need a global ID. We just need to go global and make sure that, everybody's participating in safety. And with that kind of mindset, I know it seems crazy to say something like that, but it's like, where's your line? Where's your limit? I guess is the thing. It's like, I get what you're saying, but well, you could always up the security. You can always make this stricter. You can make this tighter, and it's like, where do you draw the line? Is digital ID more secure for voting? Do we need to go digital ID to secure voting? I mean, where is your limit?
I mean, you're laughing, Michael, but it's true.
Well,
I mean, that's why you're laughing.
I'm laughing because, like, in the financial side of everything, which is what I deal with, you have all these insane anti-money laundering laws. You have all these insane know your customer laws. All that stuff, it has nothing to do with protecting you or, all the fraud and all the stuff. It's 100% to just track and control every single thing you do, to attach you to every single transaction that happens financially. And it is literally the work. I mean, these banks, like in these brokerages that we deal with, they have compliance people, and we'll be answering questions and sending documents in from some of our entities from the 70s, certain documents. It's like insane. And I just can't stand it. And we just keep letting it happen. And if you want to transact, you have to play. If you want a broker account or you want to trade stocks or something, you have to do what they say. You have to you have to give them all this information. And we don't have anybody saying, hey, that's a massive invasion of every piece of my privacy possible.
But we're supposed to be secure in our personal possessions and our papers. That actually is in the Constitution, said almost exactly the same way. We are supposed to be secure in our private papers. So what they've done is take all of that away from us and then tell us it's for our safety or our security or whatever. And it's simply not. And I wondered what was going on today, because our audience on X is huge. And our friend Noxie is like, I can't share because X is down. I was like, I know there were so many people who wanted to watch this show, but we have hundreds of people watch us from X. And so it makes me sad that X is down this morning because they're missing this and they'll have to, watch it later. But thanks for telling us, Noxie. I appreciate that. I was going to see if there was something. Oh, here's another good one. Vaccines for our protection. People are so naive. Okay, so let's talk about this. You are, God love your heart, honestly, Kendall. You're kind of out there in this boat rowing by yourself. What can we do to help you? How can we help ourselves? I mean, I do want to get there. I want to get there, but I also want you to make sure you're explaining to us exactly what's going on, so that when we say something, they don't look at us like, well, you just heard, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Up as a crazy person or whatever.
Okay, I will try to do a real quick summary. So Oklahoma is taking, this is my opinion, because Service Oklahoma is going to deny that this is Real ID related.
Okay.
Oklahoma is taking the final leap forward in Real ID compliance with this upload to AMVA in mid-February of this year. So if this happens, any hope of a meaningful opt-out, which we believe we have in Title 47 right now, or sensible data protections, that's going to be gone, because it's all Real ID and it's all non-compliant. All of this is going into a single system that is called the state-to-state system. It's ran by AMVA. AMVA's third party. That is, who knows? They work in tandem with DHS, but they are going to be considered private and not government. So, but either way, even if they are real, you can't win this argument, I feel like, with Service Oklahoma, but we are going to try to run an injunction on it and see what we can do. I don't know what people can do to help on that. But
well, I mean, does it help to does it help to call their own legislators and
Yeah, you
say,
can keep calling them.
okay,
There's nothing I can do to halt it. I mean, unless they start requesting Service Oklahoma also to halt, but I just don't think Service Oklahoma is going to stop, even if legislators, because I can't do anything to them. I can't, I can just say, I would love to say, well, we've got the power of the purse, which we do, but we don't use it. So you can go there too. But and then this is what's going to happen if you do reach out to your legislator. If they're not really caring about the situation, they're just going to forward it on to Service Oklahoma. Service Oklahoma is going to respond back, and they have a list of things that they're going to tell them. They're going to tell them that this is a decentralized system. It literally refers to the system by AMVA as the central site or hub. If you go to their website.
But it's decentralized.
They're going to say it's state governed. My question has been answered. What elected official or any official from Oklahoma has a governing role on S2S? Zero. They're going to say it's limited in scope. And my correction right now to that comment from Service Oklahoma is that it's currently limited in scope, but you're never going to know when they expand that scope. And that will be their intent at some point. And you will not be notified. The legislature will not be notified. They're going to say that AMVA is not third party. It is a private organization operating a data system for the states in order to allow them to comply with Real ID. I can keep going, but there's a ton of things they're going to try to tell you, and it's all opinion. There's no fact.
But wait a second. I do want to hit on the last one that you just said. How I don't want to use a bad term here, but how in the Lord's name can they say that this is not a third party system? I mean, I really want an answer to that question. How do you say that?
They legitimately. They just do. They can. They just do. That's what they say.
But that's a bold-faced lie.
Well, it's state-led, Jenny.
And decentralized.
That's what I'm saying. Right now, you're fighting a shape-shifting, plausible deniability. It's very frustrating. And I think I had to go through some of this just to understand the fight that when Real ID did come out, what these people went through and was scrutinized for fighting. I get it now. It makes you want to pull your hair out.
Well, it's interesting because I'm hoping this isn't going to get me in trouble to say this, but the person that works with you is somebody that I've known for, oh my God, 15 years, 16 years. I mean, I've known her a long, long time. And she has been fighting Real ID for that's how I met the woman in the first place. Was because when we all got involved in the Tea Party movement in 2010, she was part of that. And she was saying, hey, this Real ID thing is coming. We don't want this. And she was explaining how all of it worked. And the sad thing about it is, and I'm going to go back and tell some of this because I think history is important, because what always happens with history is this. You're putting your foot in the stream here, right?
Right.
So you're seeing everything that's coming here, but you're missing everything that's happened here because you're at this point in the stream. Yep. And I want people that are the people who will come on, later and watch this later. I want them to know in the 20 teens, we had a group of legislators in the building down there at 23rd and Lincoln who really their focus was the protection of the rights of Oklahoma citizens.
Oh no, Jenny.
Uh-oh, is Jenny frozen?
Frozen Jenny.
Yeah, we'll give her a second. She was just getting ready to hit something good right there.
I know. Oh man. Well, let me continue. I'm just going to keep hitting spots because I've read through the emails that they have sent back to constituents. They're going to say that the driver's license photos are not stored in this system.
Currently, am I back?
There she is.
You're back.
Okay, well, let me just finish before you go on. So we had this, and I have no idea. I think probably the legislature stopped it so nobody would hear what had happened before. I don't know. But that group in the teens, they were very cautious about this. And we had some really great legislation to protect us from Real ID. And guess where that all went? Because we had new people come in And the new representatives that came in were all involved in the Chamber of Commerce and the special interests that want to make sure that we're checked and followed and all of that kind of stuff, because somehow that's going to make business better and that's going to make us, our kids' education better. And all of this tracking is somehow going to make us more wealthy and prosper. We're going to have more prosperity and all of this nonsense. So the people that have been in the building in the last 5 to 7 years have screwed you over and done away with most of the good legislation that was actually put in there before. So I just want everybody to know, this isn't just coming to the forefront now. You had people in that building who were holding the line until we got a new group in. And I think it was that new group that Kennedy sent, Representative.
Because we passed a lot of good stuff in 17, I think.
Yes. And he came in and tried
18.
to get rid of, used a PAC to get rid of all of the conservative people who were standing up for us. And he did manage to get rid of most of them. And when he did, then that just left a big open hole there for people to go, oh, well, we'll rip this out. We'll rip this out and we'll put interest garbage in. So just know that. I want people to know that because it's true. Now, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just filling time. I could keep going. They sent a ton of bullet points and I went through them all and debunked but pretty much all of them. But it's really just a matter of opinion. They're going to say, we're not losing control of our data by participating in this, but we are sending, PII to a central database. So how did they propose protecting this? They can't prove that. They have no protections in place after that happens. They need to explain this to us very slowly, but I don't get that answer.
Hey, there's a really good question. I'm just interested in what you think about this. Is this a push by UN tourism initiatives or UN counter-terrorist travel program? They focus on data analysis for tourism trends, sustainable development, and global security, often in collaboration with United States and private sector partners. Do you think this does have anything to do with a more kind of, I'm going to use the term nefarious?
Nefarious, I would say yes. UN level stuff, I don't know. I like you said, I'm just now into the stream. There are so many experts that have dug into all this, and I would say they would have a different answer for this question of, is the UN involved? We know global surveillance and identity is really the push and ultimate goal. So I'll just stay there. But I have no proof. I have no connections. I can't say anything to say yes or no.
Well, yeah, but I do want to point something out, though. You are doing what a representative of the people should be doing. And I'll say that as many times as I need to on this program for people to understand what that means. You are asking the tough questions. You are digging into things that affect the privacy, security, and I'm going to even say sanity of Oklahoma citizens. This is what you were elected to do. Jana Belcher, who is a constituent of yours, just chimed in a minute ago and said, that's why we elected her. We knew she was going to do this great job. So, but I do think it's super important for people to understand this is what your representative should be doing right here.
Yeah, I wish more of us would get on that boat and less bill writing, but I know there's a place for bills. But when I get frustrated in committee or something and I see a bill for another tax credit or another, don't tax something or tampons in a bath. I don't know. Something that I'm like,
that was one of my favorites. Love that one.
I just get frustrated. It's like we wasted our time, drawing up this language. We wasted the drafters' time drawing up this language. Maybe some people don't think it's a waste of time, obviously, but it's like, what could that time have done if you would have just picked a specific agency and, make sure that they were doing their things? Because I'm sure there's agencies out there that are doing what they're supposed to be doing and they're frugal with their dollars. I would like to think there is. But
well, we know it's not DHS, so we can.
I don't get into that one. Oh,
tease that one out.
Hey, real quick to Andrew's question, I just looked up AMVA, global partnerships, and they do have partnerships with European Vehicle Drivers Registration Authority, other places all over. So there's got to be UN ties in there somewhere, Andrea, 100%. And it looks like they may even have stakeholders across. I'm going to have to look at that
Probably.
But it looks like that organization does have kind of a global presence, or at least global partnership in some capacity.
And how do you solve that? Because once that data, and I do want to make this point. Once the data is uploaded to ANVA, can we get it back?
No.
I'm told no. I'm told it's irrevocable, and I don't want to believe that. I want to be like, no, we can somehow claw it back. But I haven't been told how that's possible yet.
Well, you know, because we talked about this, you and I have, and some people who watch this know. So when I got involved in the early 2010s, one of the things that I did was start studying data collection on students, because, you know, that was originally our thing, is, you know, restore Oklahoma public education. So I did a lot of data collection. I did a lot of digging into data collection on Oklahoma children. And so when I did that, I mean, we had an interim study on it, and I presented at this interim study. I think it was 2014 or 13, one of those. I mean, it's on our YouTube channel. You can actually go find the presentation. But when I put all of this stuff together, and I showed how all of these organizations were coming together to pool this data and follow kids, people were shocked. But instead of wanting to do something about it, they seemed to feel like it was so overwhelming that it just shut them down. And then we just couldn't get anything moving after that. It was like, well, I don't know how to stop it. I mean, but that's part of your job as an elected official, is to figure that out. And that's what you're doing with this, is trying to figure out how to make it stop. But the worst situation we have, and my husband he programs, my son's a programmer. We know a lot of programmers. It is almost impossible at this time, according to the programmers that I know, it is almost impossible at this time to be able to remove data once it's entered, because there are so many attachments to it from so many different calls in so many different places in data sheets once you get this in, that it's almost impossible to get it out, which is why we argued against a database for students. Because if you at any time put a social security number in there and it's attached to that child, you won't get it off. It's not going to come off. And this is, I think, the most, if you're not activated by the idea, and it's very ho-hum to you that, oh, well, we'll just fix it later. I'm going to tell you, find me a coder that's going to tell me you can fix it later. I want to know this person. Trust me, I do. I want to know the person, because the coders I know say it simply isn't possible. And that was all the way back in 2014 that we said that in that interim study. So I want that to really sink in.
Well, and think about it, Jenny. That data is not just going on to some private little secure hard drive or something like that. That's a physical, it's going into multiple kind of cloud systems, backups in one way or another. I mean, it's going to be out there, and it's never, once it goes in there, it's never coming back out of there.
And I don't know, it just seems like there must be some kind of class action lawsuit we all need to look. I mean, not like it's going to protect us at that point, but it could protect other people coming behind us, which again is important. It's not just about us. Yeah. If it doesn't work for us, like Kendall just said, we need to make it work for the people coming behind us who are our children and who are going to inherit all of this nonsense. Yeah. So, I mean, if we have to file a class action lawsuit against Oklahoma, look, there was a law and you chose to disregard it to do this thing that you think it was okay for you to do. No, it's not. And now you screwed us all. So
well, here, I got a sentence. I got a sentence for you also. Okay. So I'm reading this article on movemag.org, and they kind of track these deals. So this is for you, Kendall. AMVA's expanded international collaborations aren't limited to partnerships with peer organizations. AMVA is also helping to shape the worldwide road safety guidelines through participation in the United Nations Global Forum for Road Traffic Safety called WP1.
Yeah, you just get on AMVA's website and you can find stuff all day long that's interesting. They're motivated and moving in all different ways.
Global database is what's coming. Global database.
But you can't really prove it right now. It's hard to prove any of this. It's just you have to either believe that Service Oklahoma will ensure our data is going to be secure, or you have to think, I don't know if they can do that once it's gone. So that's really where we're at right now. I can't prove it. Maybe there's smarter people out there that can, that have really just dug into all of this system and stuff, but I can't prove it.
Well, and don't forget, we did have, oh my goodness, her name is escaping
outside of
me.
what their website already tells us they're doing.
Yeah. I've forgotten her name, the lady that we had on who's the national real ID. Twyla. We had Twyla on.
Twyla's an expert. Yep.
She is an expert. And, she said without any hesitation at all that, the real ID sounds like something that's just whatever, I can get on my plane. But the whole idea is once everybody is forced to opt in, now you have a national database, and then you've become China. And then somehow we're MAGA. We're MAGA after we become China. How does that work? We're MAGA China.
I haven't heard that one. I hope we're not MAGA. If I hope that's not the only way to be MAGA.
Well, it's a very
they're pushing now. It's a $45 fee now if you go to an airport and you don't have a real ID compliant identification whenever you go there. If you haven't seen,
I'll be happy to pull that $45 out.
Well, I think a passport will still work. Let me just say that too. That's a big question I get. People understand. Okay, maybe there's some serious questions here, but I like flying. So what can I do? Can I reverse my real ID? 100% Oklahoma allows you to go to your DMV and reverse it now. So I wanted to answer that question that I get a lot. And you can still fly. Just make sure you have a passport. You can fly without anything from what I've been told. You don't have to have anything and you can fly.
You absolutely can. And they have, you've got Christy Neem and her
Gnome,
whatever her name is. Yeah. All I know is that,
who's pushing and fear mongering that you have to have this, and our media, sells it too. You have to have this by this date or you can't fly. It's a lie.
Oh yeah. I was in the airport watching her with her, she's got all of that injectable lip stuff now, and you need to be able to make sure to get onto a plane. I'm just like, okay, Barbie, zip it. Okay, sadly, it can't be undone. So how does a lawsuit correct it? Well, this is what we were saying, Noxie, earlier. It's not going to help us, but we all have children here, and we need to make sure that it's protecting the children. And if filing a lawsuit will keep the people behind us from having to suffer this, that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. We have to protect. We may not be able to do it for us, but we can sure do it for the people who are younger than us. And that's what we need to be focused on. Tyler,
I'll try for a bill too to offer opt out, and we got a month. I'm still hoping to file an injunction to halt it. So
I wish there was something I could do to help you with that. I really, really do.
I've got other people that are helping me. I'm not drafting it by myself. I've got lawyers that have reached out and offered to help. So
thank God.
Yeah.
Tyler says full opt out. Yeah, obviously.
Should have been an opt-in. Should have been an opt-in.
How about leave? Oh yeah, opt in.
It should have been.
That's what it should. You're exactly right. So, Katie says, if the Biden versus Missouri X files COVID censorship insanity taught us anything, it's the government and the big tech data manipulators can't be trusted to collaborate. The step beyond censorship is mass life control.
Yeah, 100%.
It's actual factual. Katie's 100%. And Noxie's 100% too. We've been sold out. Oklahoma's red, but our legislature is not. Thank you, Kendall, for being one of the brave ones. Well, and then Lisa says, and this is how they get you. I mean, Michael and I were just talking about this the other day, as a matter of fact. After a couple of years of paying that $45 per flight, people are going to get tired of being penalized and just give in. Oh, Julia says,
Yeah, red like China. 100%. 100%, Julia.
good one, Jules. I give you that one. That's 100%. Okay, so we kind of know what's going on with the Real ID. Hopefully we'll have some really good clips to share from all of the stuff that we've been talking about today. But I do want, before we get off of here, because we're already at 1:10, tell us some of the other things, because I know this is a huge fight because we're under the gun to get something done before next month. But tell me something, give me some other ideas, give us some other ideas about things that you're working on for the upcoming session.
I mean, spending was the big one last year. We wanted the small group of us that was demanding an income tax cut. We said, we want the income tax cut, but we only want it with a spending cut. Surprise, we have the biggest budget we've ever had. That's going to be a focus this year. And I hope those of us that fought last year and held feet to the fire to get what we got is going to hold feet to the fire this year and really call out the spending. That's one of my focuses. I mean, I file bills. They're good. I mean, I think they're good, but whatever. If I don't get any bills, fine. You know, that's part of the punishment of not going with the flow at this point. So you have to start thinking other ways. I didn't really file a lot of property tax reform, even though I really feel like I am the answer. I have the answers here, or part of them. I'm just going to sit back because I know there's going to be a ton filed this year because of that state question. There are going to be so many property tax bills. So I'm really just gonna thoroughly read through those and just say, this is what consequences this one will do, or this one is really good. I would love to just give my opinion and try to get something really good across the line for everybody on property tax reform. So I didn't even mess with filing, you know, the big, sexy property tax reform bills. I'll let someone else that can get it there and just help.
Outside of that, you've got the chops for that, and people who are watching need to know that you have the chops for that. That's where you started.
I usually don't pride myself on anything, but I am 100% on this one, and I would love to help anybody that wants to do real reform. I had great bills last year that I thought would do a lot of relief, but they just aren't going to go anywhere probably. So we'll take what we can get.
No, because I think we've seen it now. Enough of us have begun to see it and our eyes are opening. The more money we let them steal from our pockets, the bigger they get, and the bigger they get, the less important we are and the more they run over us.
It's property tax. I can read the tea leaves on what's coming and why we are where we are so quickly. I mean, it's 15 years ago. People didn't really care about the property tax. It wasn't that bad. And then things started coming into play. Series bonds started coming into play. And we have some statutes that really, I want to say, encourage debt. And as the state of Oklahoma grows and our valuations grow, you have to continue to grow your debt or you're going to be in big trouble because of the statutes on the book. So I understand all of that background. And even if we do pass certain things, homestead reform, exempt it altogether, those problems are not going to get fixed. And those problems will continue to grow. So I'm here for all of that whenever the time finally comes to solve it, really solve it.
Well, I'm on record for saying this a number of times too. My idea is to eliminate property tax by billing citizens directly for their school bill, for their roads bill, for their fire protection and police. You just should have these different bills. And I absolutely promise you that the one reason, I mean, I'm convinced of this. The reason they did the property tax thing, and then they rolled the property taxes, if you didn't have the money to buy your own house outright, they rolled the property taxes in with your mortgage bill. And the reason why they did that is because then you had no idea who was spending what for what. And you're just like, oh, wow, I guess I didn't realize that they were spending this money. And so because they don't know that, and the school says, well, you know, we really need to have another $60 million. We need to redo, you know, our bleachers and the football stadium, and we need to have 60. People go, oh, well, okay, that's cool. We love the school, rah, rah, right? and they don't realize what that's doing to their property taxes. And I want these people to, you want that stadium, baby? You bill everybody in the district. Bill everybody directly. Here's your bill for this new stadium you wanted.
It'd probably change people's minds, maybe.
Absolutely, 100%. When they went, really? You want me to pay for that? Yep. Oh, yes, it would. Now, Noxie has one other question here, and I don't know how you are going to respond to that or what you're up to speed on. E-Verify will be the same thing, and we have people pushing it. Please touch on this.
I don't know as much. You probably know more than I do on E-Verify, but I do understand it to be a database that can have major error rates, and it'll be a mandate on all Americans as well as those that are illegal. So I don't like any of that. So I'll refer to you because I think you've talked about E-Verify way more. I haven't studied it a lot. I just knew these facts up front about what it is. If a company wants to use it, great. I'm not against it. I'm just don't like databases that are collecting data on my American citizens and very well could make an error and hurt hurt an American citizen.
Well, and here's the thing. I think that Noxie's done a whole lot of...
Has she?
Yeah, she's done a whole lot of research on E-Verify, and so she's coming at it from that perspective. If you don't know Noxie Love, she's on YouTube right now because X is apparently down, but she has a big following on X. You ought to go out and find her stuff on E-Verify and look at it. I mean, I'm a huge proponent of the Jim Shaw plan. I love it. I mean, every single thing on there I love, except for the one point with the mandatory E-Verify part, because I just do think it's too problematic. Because when I was having a discussion with my friend about this, she told me, and I was absolutely shocked about this. If we would we do have the ability to check birth certificates. We do have the ability to do that. And for whatever reason, we simply
don't. Oh, I can speculate why we don't.
Tell me.
Because we don't, the point is not to give security in the least invasive form. That is not the goal here. We know birth certificates work, and the system that they use is very protected. And actually, I think it's a great system. The Eve system works, and I would trust it. We don't do that. So then we start collecting these biometrics and all of this stuff to assure that you are who you say you are. But even if you collect the biometrics and you're not verifying a fraudulent birth certificate, you're just verifying that it's a fraudulent birth certificate with the biometrics. It's like that. Anyone that really sits down and thinks about it, but the ultimate goal is to collect biometrics. You wouldn't need biometrics if you just verified a birth certificate. But we can't have that. We need people's biometrics.
But see, I'm glad that we touched on that, because that's absolutely 100% accurate. And that's how you know that this is about control and tyranny and not about what's going to help the American people and be the best for them. Because the birth certificate deal, it's just way too easy. And we just have 900,000 reasons why we don't want to use it. And it's all bogus BS.
You know what's funny? Just kind of as a ironic analogy in this deal, you know who checks birth certificates and goes absolutely insane, Jenny, if something doesn't match up in one capacity or another? Oh, all these little league sports teams, Jenny. If your child is 1 week or a month over whatever the deadline is with the birth certificates they have you, it is like committing a crime. So I know you love all the sports side of everything.
Oh, I do. I think it's so important.
I just want to tell you how effective those birth certificates actually are when people actually care to use that system and they engage in it. How crazy a lot of these people get engaged in that in Little League. I can just tell you, because I've got 5 kids who all were in Little League, who, that's the number one deal. Check that kid's birth certificate.
But that shows how disengaged the American voter is. I mean, the American citizen is.
Well,
the
they're being
Oklahoma
fooled.
citizen.
They're being fooled a little bit. You know, they believe that this birth certificate, when they take it to their DMV, is being checked and verified. It's not. They just look at it. Some don't even ask for it, but if they do look at it, it looks good. Or they just scan it into some, file, and it never gets ran through the Eve system to be verified. So there's this facade that you are being verified, but that's not happening. We know 100% that that's not happening.
There was I don't know why it didn't come up in the comments, but there was a really good comment over on Rumble. Sometimes they come up and sometimes they don't. That's Rumble for you. So Nancy says it will be incremental. They say no pictures included, right? But that's only for now. That's true, but only for now. And next year, oops, now we've done it. Yes, we have the pictures for compliance with this that you don't want. Too bad. And so I do think that's the other problem that we have. It's the incrementalism thing. And I don't think people understand that. I think they think that, well, if the government just says, no, that'll be the end of it, somehow that's is stupid at this point.
Well, they'll have a hook in us now. I have asked that question, and you can't say no. You cannot tell them no, because either we lose the funding or we're out of compliance now. And this is our only source of being, in compliant with DHS and all of this. So that it's spelled out completely in AMVA what it is that they're working towards, which is the biometrics. And you have to have a template in order to do that. Well, that's your photograph. I'm
so frustrated. And Noxie, she apparently has kids, and she's saying, yeah, Michael, that's absolutely 100% correct. I'm looking to see if there's anything else on there. Little League can figure it out, but Oklahoma can't make it make sense. It's true. I mean, I don't know how but here's the bottom line. We have an election coming up in 2026. This year, we have an election coming up. We've talked about the fact that Jason Murphy, who was on this show this month, who talked about his, I actually have it on my desk here, who talked about his, the People's Audit is what he did, where he looked at all the House of Representatives, not the senators, but all the House of Representatives, and showed what they were voting on. It was absolutely, we actually had, and he compared them with Liberty vote. So he would say, well, this is a Liberty vote if you voted yes, this is a Liberty vote if you voted no. But it was all based on, the concept of personal liberty, which all government should be based on. And we literally had three Republican representatives in the House that got a score of 0. 0 for Liberty.
That's hard.
I mean, this is, and Kennedy was one of them, by the way, got a 0. But this is, you have the opportunity to go out there to, it's called Oklahoma State Capitol Substack. And you can find this, and you can go back and you can look at it, and you can go to your legislator and say, well, I see that you are number 45 in terms of Liberty votes in Oklahoma. And then you can find somebody to run against them. Because if they're 45, the chances that they're going to change are probably.
Well, never give up. I do say, I do always want to say, just keep working your legislators. And of course, we want liberty-minded legislators. But sometimes they just need a little more confidence from their districts. I think a lot of them are just scared. I think a lot of them really do want to vote more liberty focused. And it is such a hard place to do that.
But you make an excellent point, Kendall. That is an absolutely excellent point. So if you have a constituency, you're an elected representative, and you have a constituency that you're hearing bupkis from, right?
Which several don't.
Okay. And then over here, you've got leadership going, but you have to, but you have to, but you have to, right? Things can happen. That's why you have to be involved with your elected representative. If you're going to vote, for God's sakes, stay in touch with them.
That's the key. And my district does, but I'm telling you, on some of those hard votes at the end, that 5-hour vote at the end, whenever they were like, do you realize what you're doing? Like, I had a senator tell me, do you realize what you're doing right now? And it's intimidating. And so to know that your district still stands behind you, that helps a lot. But if they don't hear from you, it's hard.
It is, because the intimidation factor is ridiculous. They literally take you, put you in a caucus, make you a part of a group. So, well, now I'm a legislator. That's my group. I pay attention to other legislators. That's how they do it.
Our caucus, I do want to say, like, we have enough outspoken people. Senator Jett is always right there. So I feel good. And like, we know it's coming in caucus, but it's like, we're going to have people that fight in the caucus now. We don't just sit back. I can't speak for the House. I don't know how the House runs. But we have several that will not back down from questioning in caucus.
And that's a great thing. I mean,
we're going to lose them.
And that again, and I've said this numerous times too, and I'll say it again. The idea of term limits, that wasn't to help us. I'm just telling you, those of you who are for term limits, I really need you to sit down and think about that, because what happens when we end up getting out the good people because of a term limit? We're at the point now where we can't afford to get rid of these good people because of a term limit.
But then I see others, Chris Kennedy, he would be in the same boat. And it's like, there's not a great solution outside of you have to be more involved, people. That's it. I don't know.
It's we the people.
Oh, it is.
It's the point. The finger pointing is here. It's not out there. The finger
guilty
pointing
is charged.
Is here.
When I was in my early 20s, guilty is charged. So.
Again, I'm not even going to go through that, because there are certain times in life where you just simply, I mean, honestly, Kendall, you are a superwoman in a number of different things, because you are a parent. You do find all of these things to do. You are constantly out in your district. That is a very difficult task for a lot of women, for sure, moms, to perform. And I give a lot of grace to a lot of moms, because, man, I'm telling you, I remember those years. And if you stuck your finger in my face and told me I had to do one more thing, I would throat punch you. So I totally get that. And I do give people a lot of grace, but people who are retired, people whose kids are gone, people who have time, if you're not, 100% as involved as you possibly can, I am pointing at you for sure. So, I mean, we've got, it's we the people.
It is.
But you have to take that back. You have to be we the people to make that work.
Here.
All right, sweet thing. I really do. That always sounds condescending when I say that. I'm getting to the point, I guess I'm getting aged enough. I'm like, hey, I don't know. You really are outstanding, and the amount of effort that you put into this job is just outstanding. And you do have a lot of people. X finally came back up, so we're rolling in with a whole bunch. Our audience is coming back in. And now that you're on, guys, you'll need to go back and watch the beginning of it, because this was really an excellent podcast. But Kendall, I can't thank you enough. I mean, and your constituents I are on here thanking you, and other people. So, just keep up the good work and let us know what we can do to support you.
Thank you. I will. I'll stay in touch on this topic as we get rolling on our next move, and keep bringing questions out. But thank you for covering it and letting me kind of get ahead of the Service Oklahoma side of things, because that's a very powerful voice right now.
It is. And we just can't thank you enough. So, oh yes, thank you, Kendall. You are truly amazing, and I appreciate you. I mean, you're doing a good job.
Well, you feel like you can do more, and I hope I can do more this year. So thanks.
You will.
Yep.
We know you will.
Yep.
All right. Thanks again for being with us, Kendall.
Thanks,
you have a blessed weekend, and let us know what we can do to help you. We're right here for you.
Yep. You guys have a great one. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I just don't know how we don't. If we could, it literally, honestly, even if we got 15 more of her, I think we'd be. I think the trans Republicans would be toast.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. Well, you'd be so called out on every single move that they make. No doubt about it.
I mean,
and I'm telling you, Jenny, with that database, then you can just bring in every other aspect of human life. Like when Twyla was here talking about how all your medical records are already somewhat attached to your real ID. I mean, just go down when they do this digital currency deal, every one of your in order to get a wallet, in order to do transactions, you're going to have to attach your digital. You're going to have to prove who you are with your digital ID so that now every transaction you make goes in. I mean, I can just see it 100%. I mean, it's just so just plain. It's just plain and simple to see exactly what they're going to do.
It's funny, but I was at Sam's the other day, and now at Sam's, they've got this new thing where they attach all of your, like if you pay with a credit card, they attach all of the items that you buy with the credit card. Well, but even cash, I guess it's even true with cash. I can go to my Sam's account and see exactly what I bought, right? They follow you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's the thing about that. And people have said this on like TikTok, for example. Well, but Sam's tracks you. Okay. Sam's is a private business. They actually do. I mean, this is part of the way that they gin up business and they direct their business is to do that. I, as a citizen, have the ability to say, I'm not shopping at Sam's. I don't want to have to put up with that. And that's me. I say, nah, just I'm not going to do that. Right. I don't have the ability to say, Service Oklahoma, I'm just not participating. Okay. Please don't take my, I don't have that opportunity. That's the bottom line. So when you're going to complain to me that, well, but it's everywhere and everybody has our data. Okay. Stop and think about the number of times you can opt out of that just personally. I'm not participating in the Sam's thing, so I'm not going to shop there. I'm not participating in the whatever, There are ways that you can opt out of different things. There are. But when you get the government involved, and then particularly when the government involves a non-governmental entity that has no way to be brought to heel by our representatives, now you're screwed. I mean, you're really in some trouble there. So we need to tease that apart and just use a little bit of the noggin to make that make sense to you. A lot of this stuff you can get out of if you really want to. You can't get out of a government database where they're going to say you have to have this to do X. Well, that's the problem.
And why do they use those third parties, those private third parties, Jenny, so that they can get around all those transparency and accountability laws for us that are supposed to be there to protect? I mean, it's just a playbook, like right out of the government defense, to where they hire these private contractors to do all this stuff so that we can never see what they're actually doing.
Yeah.
It's escalated all the way up now to every single thing. So to get around it, hey, this private company, you can't send an open records request in for Service Oklahoma to see what's going on. You can't send a open records request in to look at the flock cameras to see what's going on. I mean,
you're 100% correct.
It is.
That is why we call it the swamp, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people voted for Trump, well, he's going to get rid of the swamp. The swamp. Do you even know what the swamp is? I mean, the swamp is a milieu. Let me use that French word. A soup of unelected bureaucrats who make you do things that you should not be made to do, but that your elected representative, who is elected to protect your privacy and your rights and all of that, can't get to.
Yeah.
Because it's behind a private wall.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a private organization. I'm a non-governmental entity.
Yeah. And not just that, Jenny, also, they brand themselves, just like in COVID, they brand themselves as the experts. So like Kendall said, a lot of these legislators, they just have to go to this agency and just do what they say because they don't know. But the agency, these people, these unelected, whoever private, they're the expert. They know what's going on. They can tell you and guide you. That's the BS that I can't stand, is all these experts, just telling us what to do.
Well, and let me point this out. So when I had all the trouble with the election board, I went to my representative, and my representative actually made an appointment with the secretary of the state election board. And when I called to find out the bottom line from that conversation, it was, don't worry, everything's fine. We're doing what we need to be doing. Don't worry about it. So my representative went, okay, well, that's what they said. If you were a good representative, if you were a representative of the people willing to uphold and take seriously the privacy and sovereignty of the individual citizen, you would immediately have gone to the election law, Title 25, which is what I did, and look all that stuff up and go, yeah, but that's wrong. Oop, that's wrong. Oop, this is in law, but that's not happening. These people don't do that. There just isn't any appetite for accountability for these agencies. There just simply isn't. It's so much easier to say, well, so-and-so told me from, Service Oklahoma told me, blah, blah, blah. That's what they said. It's very easy to do that. Sure, it's super easy. Where are the people that are going to go, oh, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to look you up on that. Or I want evidence. Even if you don't have time to go through the state, you say, well, I want the evidence for that. Then where does that show that? You're giving me lip service. I want to see the exact statute. I want to see these things. You need to provide that to my office. That's not a hard thing to do. This isn't rocket science. It's not anything like that. But these people that we elect are not taking their jobs seriously, if they even know what their job is in the first place. Because if they've hung their shingle out, hey, I'm running for so-and-so campaign, and they just get all of these special interests and lobbyists, and they get all of this money. Why would you be all that interested in what your constituents were saying when these people are giving you money and speaking in your ear? This is the problem that we have over and over and over again.
One in that same vein, just like when Amy Serrato was on Wednesday talking about for 70 years they've broken the law, but that's just how they've always done it. Without someone like Pykoff questioning, saying, hey, it's time to do things the way they're supposed to be done. They're just going to steamroll us. Like you've always said, they're just going to keep going. They're just going to steamroll us no matter what. It's up to us. We say that all the time, but it truly is up to us to just raise some hell.
Well, it is, especially if our representatives, our elected representation is not going to do that, then it falls on us. But then what ends up happening is, because I did all the research and then sent it to my representative who just did nothing with it. There was just, well, thanks for doing all that research. I see you may have a point.
Wow.
Well, okay. I mean, that there's got to be more to it than that. And I have to say that if, I was an elected representative and I had people coming to me saying, you need to look into that, even if I didn't have, like, I was just swamped and didn't have the time to do it, by God, I'd find somebody who would.
Yeah.
He would at least work with them to figure it out. I mean, I just don't see how this happens. But I do think it happens because we, the people, just check out. And
yeah,
it's
in my opinion, it's kind of a multitude of things, but the two main things are, and Kendall kind of touched on, to that incrementalism. They get a crack, and then that crack just turns into a little, a fissure, and then finally the dam breaks 20 years from now, and then it's also just they beat us through attrition and complacency.
Yes.
They just wait us out. We're all worked up over this. If they can just push it out there far enough, then, we'll go back to our lives, and, we got to go back to work and do all the, they just wait us out and wait for us to be, complacent again.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I've got a picture up on my wall, the Taxpayer March on Washington, 9/12/09. Well, David and I actually went to Washington for the Taxpayer March, and a whole lot of us came. I mean, if you look at that, I mean, there were over 1 million people there for that, and you literally had them all standing on the White House lawn, going, we're taxed enough already. That's what the whole Tea Party thing was, taxed enough already. You don't need to. I mean, government is not a jobs program. Government is not a service industry. And we have gotten into this idea that it's a jobs program and a service industry, and it's not. It is the ultimate protector of your rights as a citizen. That's all it is. All of this other crap is just nonsense and crap. And, I guess that's the great thing about schools not really teaching civics and not really teaching the Constitution. I mean, kids go, oh, well, they don't even know what the job of government is, and what the rights and responsibility of the citizen is, and what the rights and responsibility of the elected official is. And we just don't know anymore. So we just go, oh,
yeah.
Well, I can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of, some of it goes back to like what you said. If you were getting the direct bill for building that stadium or new scoreboard or whatever, things would be completely different. So, even though we're trillions of dollars in debt, even on paper, it's even more than that. I mean, we're probably in the hundreds of trillions.
Yeah.
But you think about, if that money was actually coming out of your pocket, none of this would be happening. None of this would be happening. And think back, remember when Elon and Doge was coming in? They found those 14 computers that were literally just printing money with zero oversight, sending it out to all these organizations, all this stuff. They literally, I mean, and that's what it all comes down to, is there's no accountability on the money side. And all this funding is basically just kind of a little bit of, for the legislators and states and people, that are closer to the money printing. It's just, they got to jump through a little couple hoops and make it look official. But in the end, they're just getting all this they're doing whatever they can do to get this free money that is not really coming out of our pocket. Outside of, yes, we pay property tax and sales tax and things like that. But I'm talking about the trillions, the trillions of dollars that are just printed out of thin air, that's going to fund all this BS. And until that stops, none of this is going to stop, because everybody's got to get their piece of the pie. So they're going to do whatever they can do to get into one of the lines of those money printers, so they can start receiving their money.
Well, as we, start to get off here, because it's 1:45, I do want to point out, next week we're going to have Gabe Woolley on Wednesday, and Molly Jenkins is going to come on as well. And they're going to talk about some legislation that they've got pending and some things that they're seeing coming up for 2026. Because remember, that was January, was legislation is what we were going to talk about. And the ones that, were really making a difference. And then next Friday, we're going to have Neanne Clinton from the Garfield County Conservation Association, who is going to be on to talk about some bills relating to land use and eminent domain and things like that. So we've got a really good next week coming up, but I do want to point this out. If you know a person who wants to get involved, but they're not really sure how to get involved, they're not sure how to read a bill, they're not sure how government works, we have a solution for that. So next month, February 26th through 28th, we're holding the Oklahoma Liberty Conference at Oconah downtown. If you book a room to stay there, you get 2 free water park tickets for the room, per room. And you get to learn from Thursday night. Thursday night, it's going to be a meet and greet. You'll get to see a lot of organizations are going to be there that can kind of plug you in and show you how to just get involved. And then on Friday, we're going to have a whole bunch of different people talking about a whole bunch of different topics that are going to help you. Everything from how to read a bill, how government functions, to using social media and the media to get out a message about a bill or whatever's happening in government so that you can get that information out and get that problem solved or attempt to get that problem solved. So if you'll go to libertyoklahoma.org, you can buy tickets today. Please tell other people. I know we all run into people who say, well, I would get involved, but I just don't know. I don't have a lot. I don't know what's going on. Well, what you need to do is say, here's a way to figure it out. Be there next month, February 26th through the 28th at Oconah for the Liberty Oklahoma Conference. And you can learn so much that will make you feel so much more comfortable about speaking out because you'll feel so much more knowledgeable. So please go to libertyoklahoma.org, get your tickets for that today. And I would be so happy to see you there next month.
Yeah,
so,
100%.
All right, Michael, thank you so much for being with me again today. And any exciting plans for your Friday?
No, just a lot of work. But I do want to bring something up because you did mention 9/11 and the security state and all that stuff rolling in. Do you remember Project for New American Century? Bill Kristol and Robert Kagan. Do you remember that document?
Don't even. Good night, Bill Kristol. Please don't say that word to me.
Do you remember that document that they wrote?
I don't remember that, but
in September of 2000, so a year before 9/11 happened, they, and they're super neocon, maniac, warhawk, crazos. Anyway, they wrote this document. It's 90 pages, Rebuilding America's Defenses, Strategy, Forces, Resources for a New Century. Okay, so let's go down here to page 50 because I just want to show you this piece in here. Let's go down here to page 50. All right, so they're talking about preserving the the country and redoing all our stuff. Let me see. I'm gonna have to search it real quick because I'm not seeing what I want to see in here.
Well, you're doing that. Cowboy Roy Rogers News and Clues says, thank you, folks. I'm posting this on socialist media, plus sending it to folks in Oklahoma and fellow Freedom Restoration Foundation board members. Well, we would love to talk to you about the Freedom Restoration Foundation. Give me a buzz. Thanks for tuning in, Roy.
All right. Okay. It's page 51. So in here, so they're talking about, the only way to rebuild the military, rebuild the strength and power of the United States, all this stuff is total BS. Further, the process of transformation, even if it brings revolutionary change, is likely to be a long one. So they're talking about, they want to bring in this security state. Yeah. Okay. But it's going to take a long time unless absent some catastrophic and catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor. Imagine that. And then 9/11 happens right after that. And then everything that happened right after that. I mean, you want to talk about telegraph. You want to talk about, I don't care what anybody says, that was allowed to happen. And you can only get this document on Wayback Machine. They don't have it out there anymore.
Well, I mean, it just proves
That was the usher in of the start of the total security state that we live in now.
Yeah.
That event right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Security and liberty are mutually exclusive in many ways. So, all right. Well, Michael, again, great to be on with you. Thanks for pointing that out. We know, but I mean, again, what is the thing that you and I stress on this program?
Yeah, it's up to us.
And where can we act under our feet?
Yeah.
DC's way out there, you know, pay attention. But what you really need to do is act here. And once you act here, it goes up this direction, right? No more top-down strategy. You better be down here in your own backyard, work in your own backyard. That will fix it. That'll fix it. It will eventually. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it. Sorry, we missed so many of you on Acts, but please go back now that you've joined, rewatch that and share it. Just really great information. And I'll have some clips out by the end of the day today. Everybody have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you again next weekend or next Wednesday at 9 a.m. right here on all these channels with Gabe Woolley and Molly Jenkins. And they'll talk about some of the legislation they've got for coming up for this year. So thanks again for being with us. And we'll see you at Okana next month, February 26th through the 28th for the Liberty Oklahoma Conference. Have a great day.